I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. Whatever. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values or feelings or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello everyone, I am Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another Friday night stream. So we are here and ready to talk a little bit. Don't know exactly how long we'll hang out tonight, but we'll go. I'm a little fried, I won't lie, a little fried, but I'm ready. I'm ready to bring the high energy for a good lecture video, just like a teaching a class. I can do this. I took an exam today, one of my own exams for my own other degree I'm working on. So that's why the brain's a little clicking. But I've been thinking about this topic for a while now, for all this week, and it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. You know the case with me in these on my channel. When it comes to topics that are hot button issues, a lot of people are doing videos about this or that, and you know, it gets to the point where you can pretty much know basically, okay, that person thought this about X, Y, and Z. They're definitely going to think this about this topic. Sometimes there are exceptions to that. You know, like for the Snyder Cut, you had a lot of people who usually stand up for quality suddenly just, you know, wanting you to give that a pass. Just turn your brain off. Just, you know, but for the most part, you can usually tell what people are going to think about a topic, and you can certainly probably guess my thoughts on Marvel's current series that they're doing and whatnot. But I don't usually do a video or talk about them as their own topic on a live stream unless I have something unique, something from my perspective to add to the conversation. And I do. I think I do. So I'll let you decide whether it's worthy or not. But it's an important aspect of what's going on today. So we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But I do want to welcome the chat first. Big Al Presents was first. He was waiting in the wings, ready to pounce right on it. I didn't actually set this stream up until a little while ago, and you know, I usually start these at 10, but I'm starting at 10:30 now. So just because of the day got away from me. I did really want to get out a video before this stream started. So you know, I did have there's another archetype video that I revised, an older live stream kind of type video that I revised with images and everything like that. I want to try to get out a video, a fixed video, at least one in between every live stream. I think that's good for the channel, you know, just trying to pay attention to the channel now and keep it maintained. But welcome, Mr. Big Al Presents. Let's see, Mr. DC Comics, Azriel 1984. Welcome, Rob Vell, JM 2021. Great to see you. Professor Logos, good to see you as well. Great to see you here. Autobot Megatron, Indigo Dragon, my dear sound engraver, is with us. Always good to have you. Scott Pickering, welcome. Says it's funny you're what does he say? You're streaming at the 30th hour on the 30th day. That's a lot of numbers, if you say so. I don't really have the energy or the ability to count all that up, but that's cool if I am. Very nice. Where was I? Scott Pickering, and my chat jumped up. Lots of people are in here. Wow, a lot of people in here. So welcome to everyone. Private Eye, Alec Purdue, Schooner Tuna, Phoenix Halcyon, Chris P, Final Fantasy Fan 012, Pie Guy 07, Captain Red. Great to see everybody in here. And it looks like we have quite a few more people watching. That's awesome. So where to begin? As you all know, I've said it many times, in passing on this channel or as a guest on other people's channel. For me, the MCU died. The last MCU film, the worthy MCU film that was made, was Ant-Man and the Wasp. So that was the last film that I accept as MCU. Continuity wise, I guess you would say Infinity War is the last film, but remember Ant-Man and Wasp came out after that, although it took place before that. So there's that. But Endgame just dropped the ball, and we're going to talk about how specifically here. And then Captain Marvel, Endgame, all dropped the ball, and then the nonsense that they've been putting out since then. We're gonna get into that a little bit and why. We do know, of course, that it's a hard left turn. There's political agenda in it. And it's all about political agenda. If you look at the comic books where these movies took their inspiration from, the MCU for the most part have been drawing inspiration from comics that were like 10 or anywhere from 20 to 10 years ago, put out, and drawing the true iconic stories that had stood up and stand the test of time. So Captain America being revived, to join the Avengers in a modern day, what was modern day then in the comics, but revised up to now. Iron Man's origin, Thor, they didn't go with like the super golden age Donald Blake Thor. They went with the one that was kind of most iconic in people's minds at the given time. So they really tried to look at comic book history and look at these characters' stories and say, okay, what's risen to the top? What's the most iconic telling that we can portray in our films? And they've done that, and it was a brilliant thing that, over 10 years, the MCU just lasted, and it was a wonderful, you might say you don't like this film so much as that one or whatever. I'm not saying every single one was the amazing, most high quality film ever, but they did right by heroes. They did right by the characters, and they said, this is our universe. We tell stories about heroes. That changed drastically with Captain Marvel, Endgame, and now the television shows that are on Disney Plus from the MCU. And I'll get into the specifics of how. But in terms of the inspiration, where they drew their inspiration from the comics, they're no longer looking for the most iconic take on these characters from the comics. Now they're looking for the most recent adaptations, which came about in the comics when Marvel did this twist. They flipped around and they decided they wanted to go woke. They wanted to privilege agenda over story. And they wanted to punish the heroes who had previously held sway in the MC or in the Marvel comic book universe in order to bring about their new heroes, right? So Tony Stark had to die so that Riri Williams could be Iron Heart or whatever. Thor had to be no longer worthy so that Jane could be Lady Thor. Captain America. Let's talk about Captain America. What did they do to Captain America? All right, do you know, those of you, it boggles my mind how some people who rallied against and talked about how horrible MCU's treatment of Marvel Comics was in this era are now suddenly trying to make excuses for Falcon and Winter Soldier or WandaVision. Suddenly they're just, well, it's actually well written, and you can't just not like everything. You gotta no. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Do you know where that story arc comes from? It comes from Nick Spencer's comic book run, in which he made Captain America Steve Rogers, an old guy, no longer could carry the shield, no longer could be Captain America. Well, check. That's what the films did. Then they made Falcon become Captain America, and Nick Spencer had this whole long arc about how, it's very introspective on him as a character, and it's a commentary on racism in the country and how America's just not ready for a black Captain America. And it's all this, and every, issue you read was just him, wagging his finger at you the whole time. It was just a garbage run. Like, this is a comic book? This is a superhero? No, this is not what it's supposed to be. And do you know how that story arc ended? That story arc ended. It culminated in Steve Rogers returning as Nazi Cap. Hydra Steve Rogers. Hail Hydra Steve Rogers had always been a Nazi ever since. Big white guy was a big mean guy, but after all, that's the story. So Hydra Cap, Nazi Cap. That's where that story culminated. So people don't realize this. People are trying to make excuses for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Well, it's an interesting idea. what are you going to say when they bring back? Now, I don't know for sure if the MCU at Disney Plus, if they're going to bring in Steve Rogers again and make him Hydra Cap, but they could. I would not put it past them at all. And there's a number of ways they could do that. I mean, they're already opening the door to kind of multiple universes with their, with the timeline, stupid timey-wimey stuff they were doing in Endgame, and then the What If series, that ridiculous thing they're going to bring to Disney Plus. I don't put it past them at all. And it's kind of it's like Star Wars. How happy you're going to be with those little bones they throw you, because they're just going to keep pushing it a little bit more. You're just a frog in the pot of boiling water right now. It's not that bad. There's actually, there's a little jet stream and there's some nice things about it. And they're just constantly turning the pressure up on you until you're cooked. It's insane. There's no reason to support this nonsense. And the thing that I want to add to it, where I want to go a little deeper and point out specifically what they're doing, it's not just a matter of, because that's one level of it, right? One level of it is that they are privileging agenda over story. They've decided that it's more important to us to tell an interesting exploration of a woman hero, or exploration of a minority hero, or whatever, which is silly. We all know that's silly, because there have been wonderful female heroes. Black Widow, I mean, we all know she should have gotten her own film ages ago, and the killing her off was a horrible thing to do. But we also know that she was not the feminist archetype that they wanted. She was not the icon, because she exuded sexuality. She was not. No, you've got to show that there's no difference whatsoever between a man and a woman, and get your buzz cut like Captain Marvel and blah blah blah. So they killed her off. They killed her off plain and simple. And the movie that's coming out with her, which is the prequel, right before she died, you all heard the nonsense that the writer was saying, how she wasn't even into comics, but she couldn't pass up this chance to make a statement and to talk about women and heroes and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. Anybody who wants to give this movie a chance should get their head examined. It's not going to be anything. So we know that even the fact that they're trying to push this woke agenda over stories, that's strike one, right? That's the first thing that's wrong with this. And they're diminishing masculinity every chance they get. They're trying to push up, especially white heteronormative masculinity. They're trying to push up the anything else. The problem on a second level, a whole deeper level, is that they are turning their backs on heroism. As I have the name of this stream, the MCU's hard left turn, politically, yes, but also away from heroes. They're no longer telling stories about heroes. They're no longer telling hero stories. Think about it. Take Iron Man first. That was the first official MCU movie, right? What is that story all about, basically? It's about Tony Stark realizing that he can't just exist for himself anymore. He has to consider the consequences of his actions. He has to start living his life for others. He's been given this wonderful gift with the second chance at life. He's got all these wonderful gifts with his intellect and his abilities and his money and everything like that, and he starts to use them for others. The hero story is about becoming others-centric. Center yourself on others, not becoming self-centered, not navel-gazing, not talking about how, boo-hoo, you've got it rough. And then that story continued, right? That's the American monomyth. That is the American monomyth at its core, laying your life down for others, self-sacrifice, right? Captain America, the Winter Soldier, from the very beginning, because Steve Rogers is an aspirational hero, before he even has the super soldier serum, he's wanting to go overseas for this war. He wants to lay his life down for others. He wants to sacrifice and serve and be there for others. He knows there's a need. He wants to serve it. He wants to meet it. Any of the other Marvel films, Thor, right? What's the first Thor film about? It's Thor learning he can't just be a bratty little prince. He has to start taking things seriously and realizing that there are consequences on others for his actions. It was a wonderful coming of age story. It was a wonderful story about him stepping in and becoming worthy, right? Becoming worthy of that hammer. Other stories, Ant-Man, for example, right? Ant-Man, think about that, is to pick an example from later on in the MCU. You've got, he gets out of prison. He has to realize yet again that even though he thought what he did was right, to kind of blow the whistle and sort of be a little Robin Hood on that company, it had consequences. He had a daughter. He has to think these things through more thoroughly. And Hank Pym coming to him, this is such a wonderful movie. That first Ant-Man movie is phenomenally well structured and written. You've got the themes of father-daughter, legacy. It's a really wonderful film. And he had to realize that I need to do the right thing, even if it's against the law, but the real kicker is, am I doing it for my own reasons, or am I laying my life down for others? Am I giving my life in self-service? And giving your life doesn't always mean dying, but it just means self-sacrificing. That's the American monomyth at its core. All of the films, like even the group films, Avengers was wonderful. Avengers, when it opened, we had all of the heroes dealing with their own individual trauma, right? You had Captain America dealing with trying to find his place in this new time period. It was in the past. He doesn't know what he's doing now. You had Bruce Banner. How does he function in the world? He doesn't have a grip on the Hulk and all of that. You had even Iron Man kind of celebrating himself, but not really tragic himself, but sort of celebrating himself, building Stark Tower and all this kind of stuff. But what was the lesson that all of the heroes learned? All of them learned through the Avengers that they had to dedicate themselves to a greater good. It wasn't enough to figure out their own paths. It wasn't enough just to figure out their own lives and what they've got going on there. They had to give it up for the greater good, come together and do what's right. That is the American monomyth story, and it's there at the core of every MCU film until Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel changed everything. Every incarnation of the MCU after that completely changed. What was Captain Marvel about? I wish I didn't have to have seen that movie, but I did. Nothing in that film, nothing in her arc is about her responsibility to others. Everything in that story is about the world's responsibility to her. Figure out how she was victimized, figure out how amazing and powerful she actually already is, figure out how she just needs to shine and brush off what the world's doing to her. Now, in the process of that, she's, by cause and effect, she's saving others, but that's not what the story's focused on, and that's not even what she as a character is focused on. She's not there just laying her life down and sacrificing. She's about her. How have I been a victim? How have I been, put upon? How do I need to realize my full potential and just really glory in myself? That's what I need. That's what I need. That's the agenda. That's the woke agenda, right? That's the victimization. That's intersectional feminism at its core. It's how many ways are you being victimized? Figure it out, tally up your score, and jealously cling to it. Let no one take your victimization away from you. And just when it seems like the world might be changing and you're not so much of a victim anymore, no, fight it back. Come up with 1,000 other ways that you're victimized, because that's the core of your identity. You are a victim. That's where all your power lies. Not in heroism. Not in laying your life down for others. Nothing like that. That's the change. It happened in Captain Marvel, and we're going to continue here. I'm going to go through step by step in the other ones. But thank you very much for the super chat, Sound Engraver. Keep sticking it to them, Prof. That's right, I will. Thank you very much. Also, Kimikaze, $5 says Captain Marvel's arc is not to let people tell her what to do. I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, exactly. Don't nobody tells me what to do, especially no man. The patriarchy and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Now, we all thought when Captain Marvel came out, okay, let's just hope and pray that was this stupid little feminist film that got chucked into the universe. Let's hope and pray we still get a decent ending to our MCU arc with Endgame. We didn't. There's cool things in MCU, to be sure, but no, think about MCU. MCU started... the Endgame started with this ridiculous, the stupidest decision in all storytelling history. This 5-year gap of between Thanos snapping his fingers. This is the stupidest idea ever. It's the kind of idea that somebody brings up and people around the table go, "Oh, it's interesting. Oh yeah, run with that." And it's the kind of idea that if it's being done in a proper workshop revision environment, you would run with it to the point where you realize that's actually not a very good idea. Actually, no, that's it. There are consequences that just muddies up everything. It actually ends up undoing a lot of the wonderful stuff we've done. That's not a good idea at all. But no, they just ran with that idea. It was like, we know that these people are capable of telling wonderful stories, right? The writers behind Endgame were the writers behind Winter Soldier and Infinity War, the directors as well. So we know they're capable of doing wonderful stories, but there was a change with the Captain Marvel entry into the MCU, whatever it was, whether it's from Feige, whether it's from other people or whatever, this shift, no longer were they focusing on telling good stories. They just wanted to focusing on having X, Y, and Z elements in their film, diversity points, affirmative action points, whatever. That's what they wanted, and that's what they focused on. So no one actually focused and looked at the issue of, is this 5-year gap a good idea? Professor Logos, thank you very much for the super chat. Says Captain Marvel was all about power. That's all the SJWs care about since they deconstruct objective morality. Power is all SJWs have left. Yes, power and absolutely no responsibility with that power. Your only responsibility is to yourself. That's all you're responsible for. Or if somebody else has a deeper victim card than you and they kind of out-victimize you, then you just lay down and quietly apologize or boisterously apologize and virtue signal, right? That's the whole point. Now, what's the problem with this 5-year gap? A number of things are problem with it. After the 5-year gap, what does it do to all of our heroes? It turns them in, with the exception of Captain America, it turns them all into navel-gazing, selfish, boo-hoo, woe is me, no longer heroes. For the most part, I mean, what is Black Widow doing the whole time? Oh, she's so sad. Sad. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay for heroes to be sad when things happen. But this is what the story with the entire movie was focused on. Focused on that. Now, you can say Black Widow, in her case at least, that she was coordinating the teams of the Avengers and she was coordinating, trying to help, teams like that. But her and Captain America are really the only ones doing something, right? What does Thor do? Well, Thor is a strong, white, heterosexual male, so he had to be punished. We had to make him be fat and whiny and crying and ridiculous. The Hulk. Oh, we had to purge him of that masculine energy. Oh, no more Hulk for him. Professor Hulk for him. And not a good type of Professor Hulk either, but like liberal arts Professor Hulk from 2021. Ridiculous. Just completely castrated, completely emasculated. Trying to think of the other examples. Who else do we have there around that? Tony Stark. Just quit being Iron Man altogether. Had a child, had a wife. That's just his thing now. And when they start to think, okay, we can maybe undo this, Tony Stark's adamant. No, you will not undo the 5 years because I have a daughter now. You don't even really get the sense that he's doing it for her sake. It's just, it's what he has now. He's finally come to this and he doesn't want to lose what he has now. It'd be very noble to not want your daughter's existence to be snuffed out, of course. But the focus was very much on what he had now. Not so much on what's good for others. He was even resisting. He didn't even want to bring back Peter Parker or bring back anybody who had fallen away if it meant that he would even remotely risk losing what he had then. The focus was all on the heroes on themselves. They were all just navel gazing. Thor's the best example. And the only two who weren't, like I said, Black Widow and Captain America. Well, what happened to them in the end? Black Widow dies. Captain America becomes old guy. And he did, in his becoming old guy, he did in the end decide he wanted to be selfish. I'm just going to do what's right for me for once. I've earned this. I'm not going to go back and help my friends or embrace the time period that I've given my life for and I've made responsibilities and commitments to. Just going to do what's right for me now. Ridiculous. Nowhere is that in character for Captain America. Alec Purdue says liberal arts Hulk. Yeah, I know. It was a pretty good one. Yeah. We should do that a meme. It should be a meme. Kamikaze for $5. Thank you very much. Says every time I rewatch Infinity War and Endgame, I keep feeling like they were made by two different people. I know that's a sad thing, and they're made by the exact same people, writers and directors. What happened? What was the switch? What was the thing that happened? It boggles my mind. I really want to know because Kevin Feige seems going 100% for it and in on it. Was it somebody else above him that was holding his reins? I just don't know. I don't know what happened there. It's ridiculous. And then other, decisions were made that set up, of course, Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Sam should not have received that shield. In no way should he have received that shield. But we'll get to that in a second. When we talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now, the next incarnations of these of the MCU, I never even bothered watching. Now, that's going to make some people knee-jerk right away, say, well, then you can't criticize it. It's actually really well done. No. As I've said many times on my channel, if there's a deal breaker on the premise of the series or the show or the movie or whatever, then that's a deal breaker. And you do not have to go watch and support and give money and whatever to that show just to be able to criticize it. No, a deal breaker is a deal breaker. Whatever fluff it might have on top of that deal breaker does not negate the fact that there's a deal breaker. Now, I do know the general plots of everything that's come after Endgame, because I've read through them and I've researched it. Sin City Sin City Taoist. I almost said Sin City Toast. Sorry, Sin City Taoist. And the idea of destroying the Infinity Stones was moronic as well. Yeah, it's just there were so many stupid things in that. And it undid so many great things that the MCU had, right? What about Loki's wonderful arc that he had by the end of Infinity War? I mean, he had a wonderful arc, and he just undid that. Let's just go back in time and pick a rascal out again and just do something else. It was ridiculous. So, Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, I'm on record for liking Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, that's me, not a hardcore Spider-Man fan from the comics. I know it made drastic changes, but the hero is still there. Peter Parker is still Peter Parker. Now, you know, he's got a relationship with Tony Stark that he doesn't have in the comics. I get that. I get why it's a deal breaker for a lot of people. All I'm saying is he's still a hero. He wants to do right by others. It is that motivation as it is from the comics. He's still a hero, wants to do right, wants to be self-sacrificing. And maybe he's still that to some degree in Far From Home, but I know from reading the plot that the real thrust of Far From Home is that overarching shadow again of that stupid 5-year gap. How do I figure out who I am in the world after being gone for 5 years? Oh, Tony Stark's gone, my mentor. How do I figure out, how can I even go on? Oh no, he wanted me to take over. Well, I don't know if I should take over. Navel gazing, all about him. And to be fair, some heroes, cathartic motivational heroes like Spider-Man, can actually bear up under some level of that treatment. You know, there's a lot of melodrama to a good Spider-Man comic. There's a lot of woe is me Peter Parker moments, but in the end, he always pulls it out and really goes through with it and does the heroism, which is great. Maybe he does that in Far From Home. Maybe he doesn't. I don't care to watch it because I don't care to spend any time in that universe anymore. But even if he does, and if that was the only film that was like that, okay, you might say that's okay. Well, let's see what came after, though. Alec Purdue for $2. Thank you very much. And reaction channels let you watch for free. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you don't get the whole thing, but see, the thing for me is not just about not wanting to support them, but also I just don't want to spend time in that universe. The MCU, I loved it, and I still love it. I refuse to let anything that Disney is doing now to try to retcon or try to recast a different shadow on the wonderful MCU as it was created and presented, because it was a wonderful thing. There was none of this nonsense. So I refuse to let them take that from me. But it's simply completely different now. It's a universe that I don't want to spend time in. Why would I want to spend time in anybody's story that takes into account what happened in Endgame? That's ridiculous. I don't want to spend time in a world where Captain America selfishly decided to grow old with Peggy Carter, and to heck with everybody that he had commitments to in the future or whatever, and then give the shield just because diversity points reasons to Sam. And then Black Widow just had to die because, well, she's a little too sexy and we don't want her women like that anymore. I mean, it was just dumb. It was so stupid. Everything was dumb. I don't want to spend time in that universe anymore. So if Far From Home, if Spider-Man Far From Home was the only film like that, maybe you can make an argument that Spider-Man can bear up under some of that treatment. Okay. What's the next thing that came out? If I'm not mistaken, it was WandaVision. I refuse to watch this either. I refuse to support it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's actually really good. It's actually really well written. This is interesting. It's like this mystery and blah. I've read the plot synopsis. What is the focus of this series? What is the focus of WandaVision? It's not about heroism. It's not about Wanda and Vision having to go out and save people. It's about what's happening to us. What's happening? What's the mystery here? It's a mystery series. What's happening to us? What's going on? What's with the reality? Who's doing this? Oh, you know, what's the next bit of evidence that's going to be revealed? What's happening to us? Now, there are other people there. You can say, yeah, they're also saving them too, but the focus is on what's happening to us. Now, Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, I will admit that I don't follow her in the comics either, even less so than I do Spider-Man. But every significant story arc that I know of from Wanda Maximoff in the comics does revolve around her being victimized in some way, right? It does revolve around, you know, she was, and we know that's kind of in her backstory in the comics, being a a mutant with her brother there, and taking up with Magneto first, and of course Magneto being their father and whatnot. And eventually she has some children that I think in the comics they try to make her forget about or something like that. I mean, she's got it hard in the comics. You could have, if you had a universe, well, like the classic Marvel comic books, where you did have the focus on heroism, then you got room for a story like WandaVision. That's okay. You can take a little breather, a little detour off one way and tell a different type, a little mystery story or story like that or whatever. That's fine. But you see what's happening here is there's a pattern. Captain Marvel, Endgame, Far From Home, WandaVision, not about heroism, not about laying your life down and self-sacrificing, but about me. Me. Look how powerful I am. Look how I've been victimized. I don't even know what to do with myself in the world anymore. Oh, what's happened to us? Somebody's had. Now, even though you can take, those last two and maybe make an argument for them, you can't when they're in the context of this great overall pattern of not focusing on heroism anymore. It doesn't work. And then finally, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Boggles my mind how people are trying to defend this show. No. You've got Falcon, who was a wonderful hero, a wonderful character, and Winter Soldier, who had absolutely, there was much more to come, right? He needed to continue in his arc of redemption, but he come a great long way, spending time in Wakanda with Black Panther, getting back to out of the fight, but then he decides, okay, I'm needed. I'm going to get into the fight when Infinity War comes. It was wonderful. They were on trajectory for a wonderful story arc for both of them. Alec produces, what are your thoughts on Jonathan Pageau's analysis of WandaVision having subtle elements of Satanism? I don't know about that. I do really like Jonathan Pageau, and I'm a big fan of his. I mentioned before, I don't agree with everything he says, but a lot of it, I mean, I agree with his issues with the Wonder Woman film. I haven't seen his one about the subtle elements of Satanism. I don't know. I can give a pass to magic, when it's in a fictional universe like that. I don't know. I haven't seen that yet, so I can't speak to that. But I'll look it up, though. It does sound interesting. I'm a fan of his anyway. Now, though, in Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm seeing my video get a little clunky there. The Wi-Fi vampires are over. I suspect a couple of them have turned their devices back on. Let me try just if it keeps going bad, I'll just let me try getting my camera off for a second. Sometimes this clears it up. If it doesn't, I'll just turn the camera off and go on the avatar and continue with what I'm saying here. But we'll see, because I do plan to cut this out. Like I said, I cut out a lot of things from these live streams and make them into their own standalone videos where I edit out the little things like this. I'll edit out when I call out the super chats. I'll edit out when I talk about this quality of the stream, the camera and everything. So we'll see. But let me just see if this is if this fixes it in any way, and then we'll get into Falcon and Winter Soldier and the nonsense that this is happening. So I see that it's a little fuzzy. We'll keep going with it. I think it might clear up. So Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now you have Falcon, and the any trajectory, any story arc that they were trying to do is now completely overshadowed by this woke agenda. Now Falcon, doesn't matter what Falcon's original story arc or anything, how he could be possibly a good hero, how he could do any of this. Now it's all about, should he take the mantle of Captain America? Is the world really ready for a black Captain America? And what is the question there? The question there is, how is the world victimizing me? It's how is the world around him victimizing him as a black man? How, is the racism that's so inherent all throughout culture and different stratospheres of everywhere in society, it's victimizing him. That's what the focus is on now. It's not on heroism. It's not on laying your life down and self-sacrificing for others. Now, if you want to tell a story, an interesting, dramatic story or action-filled story or whatever that explores racism, go do that. Stop messing with our heroes to do it. Heroes are there to tell hero stories, period. Stop taking our superheroes and reappropriating them for whatever nonsense agendas you have. Stop it. That's not what they're there for. And it completely ruins the character of Sam, putting him on this whole arc now where he's just worried about this. It's ridiculous. Winter Soldier, Bucky, he should have had that shield, right? That's what the entire MCU was building up to. Bucky, not Sam Wilson, not Sam was with him in the beginning. Bucky knew Steve Rogers before he even had the super soldier serum. Bucky looked up to Steve Rogers Bucky knew what was special about Steve long before anybody else did. When Captain America comes in and is recruiting him for the Howling Commandos and says, you ready to follow Captain America? And Bucky says, hell no. I'll follow that little kid from Brooklyn who was too stupid to walk away from a fight. That's a wonderful line. That's wonderful. Losing Bucky, that did a lot to Steve. That was a heavy part of his own character arc. And then Winter Soldier, that's amazing. Winter Soldier, it rockets both of them, both Bucky and Captain America, rockets them forward on their narrative arcs. Civil War is all about Steve Rogers' belief that Bucky is good and that he can be redeemed and saved. It's all about Bucky Barnes. Now, Sam is there. Sam's a cool character, and Sam is helping. But no, it's all about Bucky. Bucky should have the shield. It made literally no sense whatsoever. People are trying to find the sense from their agenda and overlay that moment and trying to say, oh, it makes more sense for Sam to have it. No, it doesn't. It makes no sense whatsoever. You can't pull anything from the story, what's actually there in their story arc. You can't make a lick of sense about that. It doesn't make any sense. And it's an insult to Sam as the Falcon. It's a horrible insult to him because he had his own thing going as the Falcon. In the comics, he was a huge character as the Falcon. I mean, the first standalone African-American superhero, wasn't a sidekick or anything like that. In the comics, he was that, and the films never really did that for him. You know, in the film universe, he was only ever there as a support for Steve Rogers. So if the film universe really wanted to do right by Falcon, by Sam, we should have an actual Falcon film or a Falcon series, not a Falcon becoming Captain America series. That's ridiculous. Kamikaze, thank you very much for the super chat, sir. It says Falcon was always seen as this cool, confident black hero, but all of a sudden he's worried about his race when he has to become Captain America. I know, it's a completely different character. He's gone from being a hero, self-sacrificing, wanting to do the right thing, wanting to stand up to his hero, Captain America. Now he's self-serving. Now he's navel-gazing. He's woe is me. I'm the victim. Look at how I'm victimized. It's the woke agenda everywhere. It's the ideologies that we see ruling the world today. Count up the ways you're victimized. And that's your clout in the world. That's your social clout. How many checks can you have on your victimization card? That's your social clout. And if you don't have any clout, victimizations checked, if you're just, gasp a white heterosexual male, oh, then you just better, lay down and prostrate yourself and virtue signal when you can, but always be ready to apologize for your existence. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous what they've done to Sam and Bucky. Bucky in the series now, excuse me, all this talking is getting to me. Bucky in the series now is doing way more penance than he should be for having been Winter Soldier. As I said, he was already on a trajectory of redemption. And in the public eye, he should still have a ways to go. But the Falcon Winter Soldier series it might as well just drop him back at square one. And why is it doing that to him? Because he's a white guy. He's a white guy. So he's been victimized, if you want to call it that. I mean, being brainwashed and programmed and put on ice. But, it's not like what Sam's going through now. I mean, do you see how ridiculous this is? Every incarnation since Captain Marvel has made this hard left turn, and it's no longer about heroism. It's about victimization. It's about woke ideology. Even though they're using these characters who ideally are heroes and should be heroes, they're not hero stories. None of these are hero stories. Even if you can make an exception or make an argument rather that it'd be okay for something like a WandaVision or maybe a Far From Home or something like that to exist, it's not okay when they're in the middle of this theme that we're getting with the series. There's nothing but that. Disney, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is no longer telling hero stories. It's not. It can't. It can't. And why can't it? Because one thing, this stupid 5-year gap that they just pulled their head down and ran with, it's going to cast a pall as it has over every story told after that. Every hero now has to deal with, oh, what have I lost? So much has changed. Oh, how can I even find my way in the world? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're not telling hero stories anymore. The MCU is dead. I said this too after Endgame, after this nonsense that the MCU is dead. They're going after these ideologies. Now I said that it's not dead in terms of it'll die, no one will ever watch it or whatever. I said it'll take a while, but they'll realize soon enough that it doesn't have the popularity that it once did. I think right now we're in in a weird phase right now where after the quarantine, after the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, sadly, people were so desperate for new content that they completely blew out their standards. Who cares? Standards, whatever. It's all about getting some new content. And come on, you can't be negative about everything. Oh, you're so negative, Prof. No, I'm the only one here being consistent. I'm saying no to the same stuff I've always said no about. And I'm not crumbling under the pressure just because, I didn't get a new movie for a year. Big whoop. You know how many great movies I haven't even seen yet from the past? I can handle that. Can you? No, you can't, because you have to give in. Anybody who's watching, and I mean this, and I know people that are my friends. So, I'm not starting a fight with anybody, but I'm still standing by this. If you are watching WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, you are part of the problem. Don't tell me, don't even remotely have the audacity to tell me how you didn't like Captain Marvel or you didn't like this or that aspect of Endgame when you're tuning in for WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. You have no leg to stand on. How do you even look yourself in the mirror and talk about that kind of stuff? You might as well be A-okay with everything Brie Larson did in Captain Marvel and everything that Endgame did. You have no ground to stand on if you are still supporting the nonsense that they do. Oh, well, there are good things about it. I'm just watching it because it's a well-written show and I'm just looking for the good, and you're part of the problem. If everybody does that, if everybody just looks at it for the good stuff that's in there, what incentive do they ever have to do better? Because you'll watch anything. They can they can show you anything and you'll find 10 seconds within the series to, I like that part, so I'm just not going to be negative about it. I'm going to find something that I like. No, you don't support this nonsense. We're never going to get a return to anything good because people aren't standing up. And that's the sad thing. I said it too. When the pandemic happened, we had a magical opportunity. I mean, that pandemic rocked Hollywood to its core. It rocked the theater system. I mean, we're seeing movies being released straight to streaming services. I mean, the implications of that are really profound. If you look back at the history of the entertainment industry, this pandemic, I mean, it killed the diamond distribution system and the way comics were done. I mean, it's really rocked a lot of things to the core. We had a golden opportunity just to say absolutely no to Hollywood until they put the kind of stories we wanted in there. You don't pull out your wallet. You don't sign up. You don't give it the click until it's a film like Kong versus God or Godzilla versus Kong. When they're giving you something you want and cutting all the nonsense, yeah, go for it. But people couldn't do that. Oh, you couldn't handle that. Oh, you just had to watch the next best thing. Oh, you had to watch WandaVision because it's really interesting and, maybe it'll be good. No, it's part of the same universe. It's starting from the deal breaker. You just decided to blink at the deal breaker and then look for anything else on top of it. So you lost your power. We lost that wonderful golden opportunity we had. Disney's got you. They don't care what you think. You rant all you want about Endgame or Captain Marvel or the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Who cares what you think? Shut up. You'll come back and watch it anyway. Yes, you will. Oh, you're so mad that Gina Carano got fired. Blah, blah, blah. Just waiting for season 2 of Mandalorian to come around so you'll shut up and just quiet it and watch that again. You will. Not me. I'm going to pirate it. Doesn't matter. That's support. That's you talking about it. That's you supporting it. People have no strength anymore, no self-control, no ability to stand up for what they believe in. They're just like dogs, just ready to be distracted by whatever bone they're thrown, even if it's not a very good bone. Well, I'll still eat it, because it's got a little beet flavor on it. That's what's happening right now, and it's not doing anybody any favors. It's not doing storytelling any favors. It's not doing our culture any favors, especially if you don't like this sort of woke cultural sway that it's having on every aspect of our culture now. Well, you're just feeding it by going out and supporting these shows. So that's about all I have on this topic. There were some other topics that I wanted to talk about don't really think I've got the energy in me to go through, because one of the things I mentioned on my Facebook group was I gave people a poll. I said, one thing I could do an analysis of Sonic the Hedgehog. I finally watched that film. Really great film. Never got around to it when it was originally released, but really, I really enjoyed it quite a bit, and I've got an analysis of it to give. Don't really have the steam in me right now to do that, but yeah, there are other couple things we can talk about. I am coming back every Friday night for these streams. Usually they'll be closer to 10, but 10:30, that's just where we happen to be tonight, where things fell for my day. I will go through and see if people have some questions in the chat a little bit to check in on things before I just log right off. So if you guys got something that you want to continue the conversation with and it works out that way, that's fine. I've got what I need now to cut that out and make it a video for people who don't want to watch the whole live stream to get through it. Let's see. Hendrick says you got to end your rant with a guitar riff. Yeah, I should bring my bass up here and slap out a little riff or something, right? Nacho Libre, yeah. New Marvel writes heroes like self-inserts, not people to strive to be like. Exactly. Because that's the message, right? From these modern stories. You're already a hero. No, don't worry about bettering yourself. You just look at the ways other people have held you down. No, don't worry about having to shed these vices or try to edge off this part of your personality that's wrong or whatever. No, you just accept and self-love and just, body positivity, the whole deal. Don't you dare change a thing about yourself. You're a hero right now, the way you are. If you have the right victimization checkoffs punched on your card there. That's not hero stories. These don't inspire you to be better. Hero stories should say you need to be better. Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay to want to strive to be better. That's what a hero story does. They're there to inspire us. That's the basic hero's journey of every day of our lives. We get out of bed, and on some level, we enter into the unknown of what that day has to offer. And in the end, when we get back into bed that night, a successful day is a day that's changed you for the better, a day in which you've met challenges head on. Maybe you didn't win every battle, but you've hung in there and you've changed for the better. That's what the hero story is there to inspire us, because it reflects our life, our daily journeys on a metaphorical level. These modern stories don't do that at all. These modern stories say, stay in bed. Don't worry about the day. How dare them expect you to get up and cooperate with all of the restrictions and the things they want to push on you. It's insane. No, it's ridiculous. That's not a hero story at all. So good point, whoever made that. I got on a rant again. Totally forgot who even said that. Yeah, Isaiah Parks, nowadays being a victim equals being a hero. Exactly. Yeah, that's not it. That's not good. Let's see. Dwight Green says, do you think the rumor of America Chavez being in Doctor Strange 2 might be the final nail in the coffin? Well, for me, the final nail's already been in the coffin. I really don't think. I think they could bring in America Chavez and people would still find an excuse to watch it. Well, I mean, yeah, she's in there, but if you just ignore the parts with her, it's actually a really good story and blah, blah, blah. I can already hear them in my head right now. They've already decided that they just need to consume the new content, no matter what. And I love Doctor Strange. I mean, I don't know a lot about him from the comics, but that first Strange movie was wonderful. And what I have read in the comics, I really enjoyed. So it's nothing on him. And I just don't want to, I dearly love the character of Ant-Man. Not Hank Pym, but Scott Lang. Scott Lang's Ant-Man, even in the comics, has always appealed to me because he's a father, he's got a daughter, and that daughter relationship always really resonated with me and my own daughter and everything. And I was really looking forward to a third film in that trilogy. I didn't even mind at all that the second film was Ant-Man and Wasp, because I thought that's a natural progression of his story arc. I didn't necessarily see that as bringing in the woman or nothing like that, to try to degrade the male character or whatever, because they didn't. They had the same kind of wonderful relationship they had in the first one. I thought that was a great film. I could care less about a third Ant-Man film. Don't care one bit, because it will definitely be, Cassie's film. You can tell that already. Let's let the young woman be the one. It's ridiculous. Ton Lover says WandaVision could have been better, to be honest. 6 out of 10 low key. Wanted to turn off the TV at some parts, but people won't. Oh no, they can't do that because it's the only thing new coming. Samuel Proctor says, my little brother keeps thinking I'm crazy for not watching fake Vision and evil Scarlet Witch and tokenized Captain Falcon and guest star nerfed Winter Soldier. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. I have students, because I talk a lot in my classes about if I'm teaching a college comp class, I'll order it around either Star Wars or superheroes or whatever, and then I teach an actual course on constructing American heroes that is my scholarship and everything in terms of mythology and whatnot. And kids you don't know any better necessarily to know that all this professor's into the geeky stuff, so they're always coming up to me, hey, so what'd you think of Mandalorian? What'd you think of Falcon and Winter Soldier? And I tell them I'm not even remotely interested in watching any of those. Like, oh, and they're just like slapped in the face. How could you not be? Because look at what they've done. Look at what supporting that means to the franchise in general and the changes they've already made and are getting away with. So yeah, I agree with you there. Autobot Megatron, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Larry Cullen, Peter Cullen's brother, and inspiration for the voice of Optimus Prime. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So what time is it here? 11:22. Yeah, we're almost about an hour. Let me check what else is going on here in the chat. Scroll up a little bit to give people a chance here. Let's see. People talking to each other. Schooner Tuna says, if the MCU isn't going to be making hero stories, then it's up to us. We will be the hope, the change, and we will put the aspiration back in the heroes. Can I get a whoop whoop? Yes, you can, Schooner Tuna. Indeed. Whoop whoop. That is, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the thing to do. On the one hand, stop supporting the nonsense that they're putting out. And if you're a creator, start creating your own superhero stories. If you're not a creator, start looking for independent creators who are putting out hero stories. They're out there. Lots of, whether it's campaigns or people just selling stuff straight up on Amazon or independent publishers and whatnot actually putting out stuff. Hero stories are still being made. It's like I said with my example in my analysis of Godzilla versus Kong. And I said this when the trailer even came out. I thought, oh my gosh, are they making Kong an aspirational hero? And they did. When I watched Godzilla versus Kong, I mean, he's in terms of in the context of being a Titan, he's an aspirational hero. It's wonderful. I just finished up reading the novelization for Godzilla versus Kong. So at this point, I've read all of the tie-in material. I've read the novelizations. I've read all of the comic book tie-ins. I had done a review of the comic book tie-ins that were done for the last films, but I do need to do an updated comic review video. So that's going to be tomorrow's video that I'll record. I'm going to review Godzilla Dominion and Kong Kingdom Kong. I think that's the name of that one. So I'll review both of those and maybe even talk a little bit about the novelizations. Yeah, definitely. So that's coming tomorrow. And yeah, that's the point. When you fail to tell when our actual aspirational heroes or even cathartic motivational heroes, when you're not utilizing them properly in the mainstream, when we're not giving us hero stories with those characters anymore, the aspirational hero is going to pop up elsewhere. And he popped up in freaking King Kong of all places. I love that. That's awesome. So it does pop up. We have to look for it and then support it. Definitely. See, Skullman will watch Doctor Strange just because Sam Raimi's directing it. Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy and his first two Spider-Man films with Tobey Maguire are classics. Yeah, those Raimi Spider-Mans were great. I forgot that he was directing Doctor Strange, but that's such a tragedy in my eyes because I really would have been interested in a Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange film, but not set in this universe, not at all. It's you mentioned the Tobey Maguire classics, and they're classics, but that puts me in mind of another issue. Look how desperate both DCU and the MCU is right now because they're desperate to get those old fans back. So they're trying to bring back all of the little Easter eggs they can. I was so depressed when I heard that Michael Keaton absolutely said yes, he was going to be in Flashpoint. What a low point. What a horrible thing for his Batman portrayals to go out on, being a part of that garbage film. And Tobey Maguire, that he's going to be in the Spider-Man movie. Oh man, again, what a horrible last note, to have him in that suit again. Awful. I'm certainly not going to see it. You can wave all the Easter eggs you want in front of me. I'm not gonna betray my standards. I will be consistent. I don't even care that I have a YouTube channel and I could go watch it and do a review because it'd be good for ratings or clicks. A lot of these YouTube channels out there, I mean, again, it's not just that, oh, this channel disagreed with me, so I don't like that channel. No, no, no. I like a lot of these channels. But when they consistently just sway with the wind, wherever the cool kids are at on this topic, that's where they go to. You got to start questioning their integrity. And again, I don't have any one person in mind right now. I'm just thinking in general. But the sad thing is that a lot of YouTube viewers, maybe some people watching the video right now, I don't know of anybody, but a lot of YouTube viewers, there's a culture to it. It's like when something stupid or bad is announced, from the comic world or the movie world or whatever, there are a lot of YouTube viewers who just run to go see what this YouTuber is going to say about it. Okay, now we got to go over and see what this YouTuber is going to say about it. And it's like watching a train wreck. Like they can't get enough of the rants and raves and stuff, and they just need to, they got their popcorn and they, that's it's like an addiction or something like that. It's good to stand up, and we should call out the things that deserve to be called out because of standards that remain consistent, not because, oh, the cool kids are against this now, so I need to be against this. Oh, the cool kids are giving this one a pass right now, I need to give that one a pass. No, have some standards and be consistent with them. So, Johnny Torch says, well, in Keaton's case, his Batman wasn't comic accurate to begin with, so Flashpoint can't do him much harm. I agree with you that the original, Keaton's still my favorite. He's the best. He's the closest live action big screen Batman we've ever had to being comic accurate. I still maintain that. But yeah, no, it wasn't. There are things that Burton was doing with those films that shouldn't have been done in a Batman story. Absolutely. But he was the closest. And I did, he's got a soft spot in my heart for that. And, growing up with it and everything like that. And I always held out hope for him to come back and, do a Batman Beyond film or something like that. You could do something like that in which you did sort of treat him better. But Flashpoint is fallen down the hill even farther. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Does anybody at all, an actual Flash fan of the character, not just somebody who's an ideologue who's decided they're going to be a fan of this character because so-and-so is playing him, is any actual real true blue Flash fan happy with Ezra Miller in the role? Ezra Miller is in no way has he ever embodied. He's not even playing Barry Allen. He's playing a weird Wally Westized, degraded version of a Barry Allen. He's not heroic in his own personal life. He's nobody you want to look up to. Why is he still getting the role? I do not know. And they're going to try and pull out every stop they can because they know that. So they're going to try and pack that movie with every little Easter egg they can to get you to go watch it. Nope. Say no to it. But people won't. Oh, I'll go check it out. Well, then shut up. I don't want to hear what you don't like about it because you've already given them the go-ahead for more. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I agree, Skullman. Yeah, Keaton, exactly. He, Tim Burton had him killing in that movie. Shouldn't have been done. Now, it was nowhere, as I've said many times, to the extent that Snyder focused on the killing and whatnot, but that doesn't give it a pass. No, it shouldn't have been done. Definitely. Let's see here. Slowing down here. Yeah, Justin Cowgill says, no way am I watching upcoming Flash movie. I'd like to hear that. I do like to hear more people standing firm. But, the thing is, I'm not saying this about you, Justin, but, people in general, you can't really listen. You can't put your finger on the pulse and listen to what they're saying beforehand. Because when it comes out, it's a total different tune. When it comes out and 2 or 3 of their favorite YouTubers are like, there's actually some good stuff in it. They're there. They're there in a heartbeat. They're joiners. Their fandom, what's important to them is the community, not the actual franchises or the characters or standing up for the true right tellings of these characters. Nope. It's all about the community. They just want to go online and feel like they're in a community and they've got people around them who think the same things and blah, blah, blah. That's what they're there for. They're not there to really, hold any kind of standards. So, that's cool to hear. Ton Lover says, used to be a Man of Steel fan until I watched you and Fan Man's videos and learned more about Superman. No, the only thing I like is how Henry Cavill looks as Supes. You know, a lot of people had that experience, whether it's Zack Snyder's films or the Disney sequel trilogy of Star Wars, when they didn't know the source material, didn't know who these characters are supposed to be, and they'll just go in fresh and, oh, I kind of think that's interesting what they did or whatever. You know, that happened to a lot of people. You're not alone. But yeah, I'm glad that people actually do come and learn who these characters are, and it's not just oh, they didn't get it right, they didn't do it what the comics did with it. That's not the problem. The problem is that they betrayed the character's iconic place in our culture. They betrayed the cultural work that character does within its archetype for our society. These are not just stories. You know, it's as I say in the intro video, consume stories responsibly. You have to consume stories responsibly. In fact, I just made up t-shirts that say that. If you look below my channel there, I need to make up a couple more and play with some different fonts and whatnot. But I do, I'll share it here actually. I do have a Consume Stories Responsibly shirt and a Professor Geek shirt that is on there. Let me share it here. So if you go down there, you can actually click it. It's just through YouTube's merchandise option that they give different channels. Oh, there we go. Consume Stories Responsibly. I'll play with some fonts and maybe put out some different options, but yeah, Consume Stories Responsibly t-shirt as well as a Professor Geek one. So yeah, we need to get that word out. You consume stories responsibly. You know, it's consume alcohol responsibly. It's a kind of a riff off of that, but people don't realize, and that's why I made that intro video. People don't realize that you have a responsibility to the types of stories that you support in our culture, that you give power to. Also, the types of stories you surround yourself with, because stories they influence you, and they will affect you in your personality and the way that you react to the world, and they'll inspire certain behaviors, certain values in the world. Absolutely. Terminator Joe for $5. Thank you, sir. Says Mortal Kombat is the latest on Hollywood takes a well-known franchise and inserts woke check marks and Easter eggs. Yeah, I've never been a Mortal Kombat fan in terms of the game. My only real experience with it is Mortal Kombat versus the DCU, which I love that game because that was before New 52 nonsense. It was the real DC characters. I love that game. I thought that was really great. And the story was kind of cool and everything like that. So I did get to know the Mortal Kombat characters a little bit through that, but I never really played Mortal Kombat games in general. So I asked on my Facebook group, I just asked people, so is this new Mortal Kombat movie something I should check out or not? I didn't know anything about it. And the things that people were telling me, they changed the races of certain characters just to make it more, woke points and diverse or whatever, nope, not interested in that. Not going to go reward that kind of thing, that basic foundation with my money just to check it out. No. Samuel Proctor said, I never grew up with, I think you mean Christopher Reeve Superman. Christopher Lee didn't play Superman. That'd be a weird Superman, Christopher Lee. I think you mean Christopher Reeve. I'd only seen Man of Steel. That's why I wasn't a fan of that character until I saw the original. Yeah, the original holds up, some of the effects and stuff like that aren't up to par today, obviously, but the story's just there. It's a real hero. It's a real somebody trying to do the right thing just because it's the right thing, not because they had to go through some sort of trauma, not because, it's the only way to get what they want. It's just doing the right thing because it's the right thing. And how much joy that brings them. That's a powerful story to show people and tell people. It really is. We need more of that in the world today. Absolutely. Hendrick says, Christopher Lee would be a great Superman. Shame on you, Prof. Christopher Lee, is hard to imagine him doing anything that wouldn't be awesome. He was quite the talent. That is true. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now. But it's been a blast. I will come back next Friday for another one of these, just kind of power through an hour of commentary like that, and then look into the chat a bit, and we'll have another topic up. You can join our Facebook group if you'd like to maybe vote on topics when I have them out occasionally for that. But otherwise, I'm going to have my goal is to have the video up tomorrow of my review of the Godzilla versus Kong tie-in comics. So that'll be either up tomorrow or Sunday, one of the two. I really want to have it up by then. And then next week, I'm going to continue my game playthroughs of Knights of the Old Republic until I finish out that story. And then once we finish out that story for folks who, haven't played the game or whatever, then we're going to jump into the Darth Bane trilogy and the, keep promoting and putting out the Star Wars EU there. And we're going to do our book study of that again on Thursdays. So that's the plan. Got more stuff to come. Lots of cool ideas. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. We had over 100 tonight watching, which is pretty sweet. So really appreciate that. Everybody tuned in. Obviously, really appreciate you guys for the super chats, definitely. But I do appreciate everybody just hanging out as well. Hanging out as well and commenting and chatting with each other. And I went through and tried to read what comments I could there. So very much appreciated, folks. But you guys have a great weekend and a great week. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love.